affected us, especially those that have transported them from their various of staying to come and cast votes for me. I have to ensure that they have to go back, and I don't know when the polling station will be ready, the ballot paper will be ready, and then we shall cast our vote.
I don't know, Oman shell, Omuno, you don't want to tell Munomay. And to blame the only say the bono, not a buying yin free or because so your problem on pa.
Tonight, anger in at least 4 regions as the district level elections are hit by ballot shortage as printers fail to earn a contract to print ballot papers on time. The main opposition NDC is accusing the Electoral Commission of messing up the district level elections, which has been postponed in several electoral areas in 2 regions. And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Voting in district-level elections just ended, but there is anger in at least 4 regions tonight after the polls were hit by ballot shortage. Shore News is learning some printing firms contracted by the Electoral Commission failed to honor their contract to print ballot papers on time. The main opposition NDC is accusing the Commission of messing up the elections, which has now been postponed in several electoral areas in 2 regions, the Ashanti and in the Eastern region. In the Ashanti region, some aspirants besieged the EC offices demanding answers. I want to take you live there now and bring in my colleague, Nana Wache Yadom, who is standing by for us. Nana, so you were to the EC headquarters in the region where some aspirants had come there demanding answers.
Well, Evans, I was at the EC headquarters in the Ashanti region, just as you said. We had about 10 of these candidates from several districts besieged the EC office to demand answers as to why their elections in their districts have been postponed. The candidates complained of losses made after preparing meals and giving out transportation support to voters. They are currently in the EC office to demand answers. We've not heard from the EC officer for the Ashanti region, Mr. Abanobio, but we know that the candidates are still there to demand answers from the EC. We can take a listen to the
reason why I couldn't hear when you say, baby, a twaba, Pesuasu, Menshia South, CPC electoral area, Yen Twaba. Now, Yen Tiasie, I didn't think Yen Twaba.
The reason why we are here is that there is no voting going on in my electoral area.
Yen Twaba or Yen Pesuasu.
If they say there is a challenge, why haven't the EC resolved the issue for a very long time? The EC must be blamed for the government to remove her from office. Why should some places be voting while others are not? This is because the EC is interested in some electoral areas.
Like in Suabenum, you have to tell you, you have to tell you, and Kofafa Cafe, no, you had the car, baby,
we invested money in catering for the voters, and now everything seems wasted. Why should the EC tell us that we can't vote? The EC should have informed us before the election day, because if we had not come to the EC's office, we wouldn't have known. We have advised ourselves here. But if the EC has an interest in some electoral areas, the EC should know that we have the men.
So, more interest what and your moonjai if you say, to Mema.
And then now, what about voters?
Well, Evan, some voters are also worried. Some of them traveled all the way from some far areas and then they came to cast their vote, but unfortunately, they were not allowed to vote. Some of them also shared their sentiments with us.
There are many people out here. We are told there are not enough ballot papers for us to vote. We are pleading with them to get us ballot papers to proceed with the voting. We've been waiting out here for long. They should come to our aid.
How much? 5:30 because me mobile because I'm buying 5:30 and be 3 I say no. Once
I'm currently at Bosomtree and Kontnas electoral areas. I'm a polling agent for one of the assembly members. They came here around 5:30 a.m. Most of them arrived around 6 a.m. hoping to cast their votes before going to work. Others also came from Accra. Another problem is that some people went to borrow money to prepare food for the voters, so rescheduling the election is not going to help the aspirants at all. Some of us from other regions were given monies for transportation, so rescheduling it would mean they would have to provide a place for us to spend the night and wait till the appropriate day for the Electoral Commission.
Because Okobobosia no dey aduane a dey ema ebiane pool agents for but enyama so economies there problem the man so nti the problems be ba na even here kra na if am akontuma ba no be na send the fed my say am na metoma no ye be du na yama so na ye so se ekọ ana ye da e so mpa ba me da no so
chiri na omo ba mpanifo no bi ba na omo kire se DC ni bi aba we no assembly member dey na aba na committee members ne dey omo dey ma nti asama.
After waiting for hours, the Electoral Commission came to tell us that the Assembly members' ballot papers were in, but the unit committee members' papers were not ready. So most people got angry and left. We are pleading with them to do better next time, because this process is too poor. If the materials are available, they should bring it for us to proceed.
And Nana polling ended the 38 minutes ago. What's the situation on the ground now? Are people still in the queue? The other areas that were not cancelled or postponed, did they get enough ballot papers?
Evans, people are not in the queue. The voting ended not long ago, and then counting also started. We are currently at the Poroko municipality. Some districts here started counting not long ago, and then others also ended counting not long ago. But the districts that did not record and were exempted from this electoral process, we are being told that their electoral materials are in, and so on Thursday, December 21st, they will have their elections.
And then I thank you very much reporting there from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. And by the way, the Electoral Commission issued a statement on this and simply announcing that they have postponed the elections in some electoral areas in the Ashanti and the eastern region of this country, and they have apologized for what is happening. And I just want to quote them now. We apologize for the inconvenience caused residents of these electoral areas. They only mentioned the Ashanti and the eastern regions. However, we're also getting reports, particularly in the central region, that they also have experienced shortage in ballot papers. I want to go there now. I want to bring in Justice Kafui Sokwa, who's standing by for us. Kafui, what's the situation in the central region?
Evans, just as you rightly mentioned, within the Cape Coast since morning till the time that we are speaking to you, my runs took me to some of the police stations at Moray within Abra Asebu Kwamankese district. And what we observed was that there are a number of police stations which could not participate in today's exercise as a result of non-arrival of ballot papers, especially for unit committee. At Moray, where we have a total of 5 electoral areas, only 2 that are taking part in today's exercise. So about 23 police stations have been affected that they were not able to take part in the exercise. And let's also say that as we spoke to some of the aspirants, they really expressed their disappointment in the Electoral Commission, looking at the investment that has gone into the campaigning till today, that they are not able to take part in the exercise. This is what happened. Currently, I'm at Kotokrama Sintimishe polling station, which is the office of the Electoral Commission. The exercise has come to an end. Sorting and counting has been done. Now the electoral officials are entering their data so that they can announce the results to the anxious voters who are around to witness the outcome of the election.
And you're right, people there on the ground are very unhappy with the situation.
It has affected us, especially those that have transported them from their various of staying to come and cast votes for me. I have to ensure that they have to go back, and I don't know when the polling station will be ready, the ballot paper will be ready and then we shall cast our votes to elect an assembly member as well as the youth committee members. It has really affected us. I'll take this opportunity to appeal to, let me start from the Mori, the electoral executives, Abra Sebu Kwamakase, and then the national as a whole, our Madam Jen Mensah. When you are preparing documents to be dispatched, you have to ensure that all documents are intact before being dispatched. Mori, part has come, others has not come. So I pray next time it should not happen again. Thank you very much, my brother.
So do you know how many police stations are not participating in this area?
To the best of my knowledge, it's about 23.
Deployed our agents to all police stations. We have 5 police stations. And then as we were going around, we realized the EC's materials were not available. So we tried finding out from the officials. And then they told us that the unit committee ballots were not in, even though the assembly members had theirs intact. So we were pleading even with them that we vote on the assembly election and then later set a date for the unit committee. But the EC said the orders from above states that we vote together. So we wait for the materials and then we vote. But as at now, they have retrieved the materials they brought to the polling stations. So we are yet to have a confirmation from EC why those materials are retrieved.
Well, that's the situation in the central region. We're now getting the national picture. This is far more widespread than the EC put up in the statement. Of course, he had isolated the Ashanti region and the Eastern region. As you heard there, it also played out in the central region. And an hour ago, in some electoral areas in the northern region too. My colleague Martina Bugri is reporting that in some of these voting centers, they were not sure if they can actually complete the process because the ballot papers were in short supply. Martina, what can you report on the ground?
We still have queues in these centers because most people came out to vote. Like I said earlier on, there are 3 polling centers that they had. The numbers were more than the ballot papers that had arrived for the election. And what we are being told is that they have made provisions so that if they vote and finish, or they vote and they have shortage, they go to areas where they have excess and then they move them to those centers and then they can cast their votes. But up till now, before I came up, I spoke to the EC director and he says that no one has reported a shortage yet, but there are still long queues in most of these centers that we talked of.
And this is a district level elections, which typically hasn't got many people in queues voting at all. But this is happening from what you're covering and seeing on the ground, primarily because in the early part of the day, they didn't have the materials in on time.
Exactly so. And so for the rural areas, we had people who came out. It's the city centers that we didn't have too much people coming up, but the rural communities, people came out. But it looks like it's an issue that's widespread in the Nanumba South. My engagement with people, they tell me that it's not just these centers, but it's a widespread activity that is taking place in that area.
I mean, how significant was the shortage in the places you visited? Because I've seen the numbers you've shared with us, and you can see that in almost every place you went, there were less ballot papers than people who are actually registered to vote in those places.
Exactly. So for the Bandajua, they had 760 and only 620 was brought in. At Palsua, 665. That's the number of people who were supposed to vote, and then they had 510. At Nabali, they had 266 people, and then 225 ballot papers. And then the B, they had 203, and then 175 ballot papers. So largely, there were a significant shortage in these areas.
Thank you very much, Martina. The situation there in parts of the northern region. Let's bring in Maxwell Kudoko reporting from the eastern region, one of those regions formerly announced by the Electoral Commission as suffering and experiencing the shortages because of the challenge they've experienced today in these electoral areas in the eastern region. they will vote now on Thursday. This now has been postponed to Thursday in these parts of the region. Maxwell, how are people reacting to this?
Well, many of the residents we had interaction with expressed their disappointment. Some have traveled from outside the constituency or the electoral area. Some are working in the Greater Accra region. Some are outside the Eastern region who traveled this morning at dawn to come and exercise their franchise. But unfortunately, most of these guys queued for more than 3 hours to 4 hours, and then there were no indication to the effect that elections were going to happen. In the Eastern region, only 13 out of the 33 district and municipal assemblies had opportunity to exercise their franchise as constitutionally demand. So the Okresuhum, Etiwa East, Ekwapem South, Upper West Akem, Yellow Krobo, Kwao South, Esujamanu, Saoma Duaji, Afam Place North, Afam Place South, West Akem, and the Buaka North constituency were the only 13 constituencies that had opportunity to go through the process. All the other 22 or the other 22 constituencies, they had the opportunity to participate in the district level election. In the Suhum constituency, I can report that not all the electoral areas had opportunity to go through the process. We are told that there were issues with some few electoral areas. So those electoral areas have also, the voting in those electoral areas have also been postponed to Thursday. There are a few issues in Suhum where police stations like Akrabo and its enclave that are seen as flashpoints. The district security council deployed some military men that caused some uproar within these electoral areas. But by and large, calm restored, and then their side has ended peacefully. So 13 out of 33 constituencies in the Eastern region only had opportunity to exercise their franchise in the Eastern region. We are told that by Thursday, all the other 22 constituencies will have the opportunity to have their turn.
And that's a challenge, isn't it, Okudeko? Because already, as we know, with district level elections, people don't want to show up and vote anyway. Do you get a sense that people are willing to come out on Thursday to cast their ballot?
Many have vowed not to stand up again. So in these few constituencies, in these 13 constituencies that we are talking about, voting started somewhere after 9 a.m. In other places, it started after 10 a.m. And the many who queued, because it's a working day, a lot of people will have to go back to work. So those who had the will to exercise their franchise, were kept in the queue for a lot of hours. They left and they didn't come back. So in most of the centers you go, you see the officials around midday, but there's virtually nobody in the queue to exercise the franchise. So turnout, we are just waiting to get official figures. But from what we witnessed in the afternoon, the turnout was also encouraged. So you could realize that in some areas, some of the aspirants were moving around the various communities and in individual homes with speakers trying to encourage people to go back to the polling station to exercise their right. But unfortunately, in most instances, we didn't have the numbers.
And in your region, Eastern region, the National Democratic Congress, they've issued a statement, a pretty strongly worded statement, very unhappy with the Electoral Commission. Thank you very much, Max Okudeko, reporting from the Eastern region, where some of the electoral areas voting there has been postponed now to Thursday because of the challenge with ballot papers. So what do we know? We know from our EC sources that a challenge emerged because some of the printing houses contracted to print the ballot papers failed to do so on time. And so what it meant was that they came and the many parts of the country, as you've just heard there, did not have enough ballot papers, or in some places they didn't have it at all. And that's why, particularly in the Eastern and Ashanti region electoral areas affected, they now cannot vote today, and the voting there has been postponed to Thursday. I want to bring in the National Democratic Congress Deputy General Secretary. They have a statement out tonight on this, calling out the Electoral Commission and accusing them of making a mess of today's elections. Mustafa Gbande is a Deputy General Secretary. Thank you, Mustafa, for your time here on Top Story. I wonder, you are stakeholders in this. Have you received any official explanation from the EC why this happened?
Thank you very much, and good evening to our listeners. Evans, what happened today, the NDC, the Ghanaians have indicated that in Mensa, is a character of chaos, and if care is not taken, she will run this country in a situation that is beyond recovery. Now, 12 hours into an election, the Electoral Commissioner did not know the operational challenges that are confronted with an activity that she held press conference to assure the nation that she was prepared. Today, only for us to get into places where they are security individuals in national security prescribed uniforms, wielding arms at the polling stations. We have Apeno Marquis using the military to intimidate people in a mere district assembly election.
Well, Mustafa, I don't have any evidence of that. And so this is something that of course, we need to verify whether indeed somebody was using the military to do this or not. But on the subject of the elections, though, I mean, you have issued a statement. I guess you haven't received an official explanation yet. Back to the original question.
She has not been able to explain that, but again, these are avoidable situations that we find ourselves in. What explanation would you give apart from concluding that she has not demonstrated competence, she has not demonstrated her ability to understand electioneering process? Now, if you have contracted vendors 12 hours into an exercise, delivery have not been made, yet you have assured the whole country that you are ready, it means you are not competent. If you have supplied limited, papers to particular areas without knowing that you have to issue papers in accordance with the voters register in those particular areas, then it's a deliberate action to undermine the integrity and credibility of Ghana's district assembly election. What explanation will she give?
Well, what we've been told is that some of the printing houses contractors just simply failed to print enough or print at all for today. Isn't that,
so there's an acknowledgement
their fault?
Of somebody failing to do its work. Why did she schedule a day for election if she has not taken delivery of what she has contracted people to deliver? She didn't see this even 6 hours into the exercise. This is a woman who claims she's going to supervise a competent, national stake election in 2024. Ghanaians must be worried. The media must be worried that we are going into a dangerous situation with Jim Mensah.
I mean, they've apologized for this. You don't accept the apology?
What apology? When you are running down the security of a nation, the electioneering process of a country called Ghana, when your actions has what it takes to undermine the integrity, the security, the peace of our nation, what apology would you have? If you had averted a little bit of common sense, a little bit of rationality, all these challenges would have been avoided. We caution her that you are treading on dangerous grounds. We caution her that carry your stakeholders around, carry MPP, carry NDC, carry CPP alongside your decisions so that we can back you, help you with ideas. In any case, political parties are major stakeholders in elections. You refused. And you made your own reforms. You took your own decisions. And here we are, apologize to who? In a very civilized country, this woman should be resigning. She's incompetent to handle any election in this country. Jane Mensah has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that she's not capable, that she's incompetent, that she will deliberately undermine the integrity of our election if she's allowed to continue.
But Mustafa, you said deliberately. Isn't that a bit unfair? Because considering what has happened, why would she deliberately do so?
The law is very clear and visible. Even her commission contracted printing press to print papers, ballot papers. If she hasn't taken delivery of sale, if she hasn't cross-checked the quality of what the people have been asked to print, why did she then schedule an election date? Why was she yesterday organizing a press conference assuring the nation that she was ready to carry on an election? Here we are. She has failed.
You talk about failure, but this is the same electoral commission that conducted the 2020 elections, which was validated by the Supreme Court. An international agency said the same too.
The international agencies had other opinions about the election. We are talking about one particular election in this time round, that is district assembly election, which has been incompetently handled. We all can see that if you go through logical reasoning, if you go through the arithmetic of taking note of the steps into the exercise, you will know that she shouldn't have proceeded on that tangent. You will see that these problems are avoidable. These problems shouldn't arise in the first place. Someone, Jim Mensah, has deliberately plunged the nation into chaos.
Mustafa, thank you very much. Mustafa Bande is a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. They have a statement out tonight on the situation with the district level elections. I want to bring in the National Coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, Albert Kofi Ahin. Mr. Ahin, thank you very much. This situation with the district level elections and the postponement of the elections in some areas in Ashanti and Eastern, but as you'll be learning tonight, the challenge also was experienced in the central, in also the northern region and other parts of the country as well. Have you learned anything different from what we're learning as to what really caused this challenge?
Yeah, thank you, Ivan, and good afternoon to your listeners. There are two things. I have a feeling that maybe the printing houses, one, maybe didn't receive the materials to be printed early enough, or maybe in the course of printing, they may have had some problems with their machine. You see, so that must have maybe accounted for the fact that they were not able to deliver for the elections to take place. Either the EC didn't send the materials to them on time, or they may have had problems with their machine. I've not had any information about what really happened, but these are my suspicions. Because the district assembly election, unlike the presidential and parliamentary, is something very huge. A lot of materials are to be printed. If you're talking about the unit committee, you are talking about the district assembly representatives itself. So it's always borders on having to have enough time at your disposal to be able to print and correct mistakes. As I was watching television this afternoon, I saw that some of the names, for example, if it's Kofi Ahin, it's Evans Mensah who is under the picture. So, these are some of the mistakes. That tells you that the printing should have started way back to allow for mistakes that have been made to be corrected. This is what I suspect must have happened. It's very unfortunate that in Ashanti region, I think in the central region, and I'm told also in the eastern region, elections have been postponed and will be conducted, I think, tomorrow. It's very unfortunate.
And because of your experience, I need to ask you, knowing the challenge with district level elections already, do you think that Thursday will work? People will actually get up and go and vote again?
It's going to be a tough order. You saw what happened today. A lot of people didn't go out to vote. So if they are to go again tomorrow, depending on the area, it depends on which area the problem is. But I believe if those who are actually contested are able to move from house to house to ginger people up, they might be able to come out to do it. But definitely the enthusiasm has gone down and is going to be worse off than we had today.
The EC has apologized. Good enough?
Yes, it's okay for them to offer an explanation. But the question is, why this? If you have noticed, Ivan, some of these things occur most of the time during the district assembly elections. You remember there was a time when there was this caption of doing the election thought by thought. Sometime back, I've forgotten the date. That tells you of the nature of this particular election. So maybe the EC should have taken a cue from the fact that it is very, very dicey and you have to be handling it with utmost care. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem.
Thank you very much. That's Mr. Ahin there. Were you affected by this? I want to hear from you tonight. 055 11 997. Newsnight starts right now.